Well, boys and girls, we're back at it again on Crumpy the RN46 Toyota Hilux. Now, a lot of you guys have been messaging me and wondering why I haven't been working on the 40 series. Now, I would really like to, and I will in fact get back to working on the 40 series, and I have promised a few people that the next episode will be on the 40 series. Now, that's not going to happen, unfortunately, and the main reason being is that I really want to get this thing done and just out of the road and out of my mind. And the 40 series is actually just sitting there, or what's left of it. Now, I have to do a little bit more work on the chassis on the front section, and I probably haven't worked on that bad boy in about 6 months, which is pretty terrible. But I have been getting some good stuff going on Crumpy. I picked up the whole vehicle for $400, but the engine is probably worth 4 times that much. But I'm going to leave it in there because it's going to be sick off-road, absolutely smashing it off some cool rocks and stuff like that, because that's just what you do in an 18R-G powered short wheelbase Hilux. Anyway, so because this engine is of course worth so much, well, I don't know, it's worth more than the rest of the vehicle, it is worthwhile taking care of. Now, unfortunately, the whole bonnet had completely rusted away to nothingness, so it was just letting water spray all over that whenever it rained, or whenever you, I don't know, if you theoretically drove over a puddle or a big lake or something like that, which it probably will be, it would have just completely drowned this thing. And I really don't want to hydrolock this thing because it's actually worth something. Now, so my fix to that was to make a bonnet. Now, that thing took me a little while to make. I just used some 20 by 20 galvanized steel, which I picked up from my local sausage dealer, Bunnings, and I went to the tip and got some old sign to make it. So that's just the sort of internal skeleton of it, which I just tacked all together, and Bob's your uncle. Looks actually pretty good. Now that's it with the bonnet closed, which looks pretty sick. Kind of looks like a Land Rover with all the pot rivets in it, so it looks like, I don't know, something cooler than what it actually is. Now, it's not perfect because it's going to get destroyed off-road, and its main prerogative in existence is, of course, just protecting that motor from the elements. Now, this is just a bit of Colorbond steel, which I got from the tip, and I just lined all the sort of the corners with a bit of flat bar, just to make it look slightly better, because there is, in fact, a seam which runs from the front to the back. Now, what we've also got here is a set of cheap spotties, which I got off another project car that we got. Just wired them up with a generic $10 spotlight wiring kit. Also got a cool second-hand King's winch. I was actually given that by a good mate, Jared. You're a legend, Jared. But we've actually started going about reinforcing the whole body. Well, at least the bits of it that are really bad. Now, this A-pillar was completely rotted out. Now, what that meant is that the door was just sort of flopping about, and it also meant that there was potential places that Wattlebush could spear through and injure the occupants of the vehicle. Now, you don't want that because it does have the potential to stab up through the floorboards and hurt you quite badly.
you reckon, Dave?
What do I reckon?
Yeah, we're getting close.
I reckon you got rocks in your head.
Hey, you gotta admit, it looks pretty sick.
Yeah. Pretty cool, really.
getting close, boys and girls. Crumpy's getting pretty well near finished. And exciting times. We're actually going to put it on a car trailer and take it out to the property tomorrow morning, because guess what? Lockdowns in New South Wales, or at least in our part of New South Wales, is almost over, and we're going to be able to go and head up to the property. So we're real excited. Now, because of this, Davo has gone on a bit of a bonanza to try and get Crumpy finished for me. He's done a bit of panel work, fixed up the bottom of the fenders so it doesn't just fall apart out in the bush. Done a few bits and bobs like reinforced my bull bar and done a little bit of wiring to get my temp gauge going, because I don't want to cook this thing. And what we're going to do now is give it a bit of a flush through the radiator, because once again we don't want to cook this thing or have any overheating issues when we're off-road. G'day mate, how are you?
Doing great, mate. Doing great.
So, this is a fairly momentous occasion. After about a year and a half of sitting in the backyard, annoying both my family and the neighbours, Crumpy is finally ready to leave said backyard. And look at it in all its glory. With its fully schmick paint job and panel work, with its custom decals that say Crumpy, and a fully sick tray. It is now finally almost slightly complete. What do you reckon, mate? She's looking good, eh?
I think you wasted a lot of time. For no
Wasted a
reason.
good year of your life.
For what for?
My whole life was a waste, so how can you waste something that's wasted anyway?
Yeah, true.
Thanks, mate.
Do I have to do anything?
Oh, I don't know.
Does it focus itself?
Yeah. Oh. It's going to be the biggest drive I've ever done in it.
Mm. I thought you said Toyotas were reliable.
It's broken down, Dave. Get the ABD scan tool out.
Sounded like it lost spark, didn't it?
It's pretty instant.
I reckon it'd be something to do with all those rusty fuses.
Yeah.
Right, and those sparkies. How do you stop recording?
You'll have to figure it out.
It's funny, we went to go drive it out, and like a switch, it decided to shut off. No spark. Funny how things happen, isn't it? Look at that delicious wiring. Looks almost like a larder.
Alright. Oh, that one didn't take. Damn.
40 years of auto electrical experience amounts to this.
There's a rubbish joiners.
Oh. Do you want me to go back to the shops and get a refund? After some high-tech diagnostic wire jiggling, we soon found that the wires that were connecting the distributor to the ignition module on top of the coil were no longer connected. So with some professional joining, we were soon back on the road.
We'll go for a blade around the block.
Should we?
No.
Why not?
Don't think you know what happened last time we did that.
ladies and gentlemen, Crumpy is finally out in the bush, which is where it was always meant to be. Now, this thing's been about 1.5 years in the making now, and we've been working on it on and off, turning it into what I reckon is one of the ultimate bush bashing rigs. Now, the main reason I reckon it is that is because it's still a massive pile of turds. Yep, it's full of rust, and it's practically worthless except for that engine, of course. Now, I'm really happy with how it's turned out, especially the stance. That just looks footy sick, bro. Anyway, now that we've done gawking at it, it's time to hit some tracks, eh?
So along for this very special bush adventure, Davo the Mechanical Wizard has cobbled together his very own bush basher. Now this comes in the form of a Toyota Bandera running a 22R 2.4 litre petrol engine. Now that runs some 488 diff gears with a front diff locker, turning a set of 35-inch tyres. Now this is some pretty stiff competition for Crumpy, and I reckon it's going to be a real weapon off-road, and of course a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, copy Dave. We're ready to get going.
Yeah, off you go. I've been ready for hours.
You want to go first, considering you're the big boy McGee?
Oh, you can go first.
Righto. Alright, this is the first actual little 4-wheel drive stint that we've done in Crumpy. So it'll be a real good run-in session to make sure that nothing's going to go horribly wrong, like overheating issues or, you know, engines blowing up, that sort of thing. Now I've got my trusty sidekick, Summer Levine, in the car here. Say hi. Long time good girl. And we're
What was that?
I don't know. Well, now's our time to do like a carpool High School Musical sing-along session.
You don't know any High School Musical songs?
I don't know any high school. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. I went to Thailand and I got this tattoo. We're on a mission today, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. So about 2 years ago now, a big fire practically wiped out half the bush of New South Wales, including the property that we're on right now. And we used to have tracks all through this place. Now we had a track that went down to this beautiful remote swimming hole, and it was just magnificent. It was truly, what's the word? Majestical. Very majestical it was. But because the fires have gone through and wiped everything out, there's really no way that we can find the track again, because it just looks like the bush has reclaimed itself. So our mission today is to push that track through, back down to that said swimming hole. And like any good 4-wheel drive action or 4-wheel drive 24/7 video, nobody's been down to this place in about 20 years. So it's going to be awesome to be the first. It's going to be awesome to be the first people to go down, mate, to this first place down here in 20 plus years, mate. That was terrible.
Music got the best in me. Ever since I was a child.
We located the original entrance to the old bush track. We started heading down the steep hill. This is where we became hopelessly lost in the dense bush, and that's where things started going to pot, because I soon realised that my brakes had completely failed. So I decided to abort the mission and start heading back up the hill, where I met my fate on a log that was hiding in the bushes. Upon hitting the log, I accidentally popped it out of gear, so I started rolling back down the hill at a great rate of knots, so I decided to choose the nearest tree that would stop me dead. Unfortunately, I also wiped out the right hand door on a smaller tree before hitting the tree that finally stopped me. Fortunately, I was okay with 0 injuries, but Crumpy was looking a little bit worse for wear.
Completely wrecked the handle.
Oh, I hit it hard. I can't wait to get that footage back up and have a look at it. Now we're driving up about a 2 to 3k stretch of just all uphill section. So what I got to do is make sure that it doesn't pop out of first gear, whatever I do, otherwise I'll probably be over the edge there. That wouldn't be too fun. Now this thing's running like an absolute pig. We reckon that the accelerator pump in it on one of the carbies is not running, working too well, and she's not tuned quite right. It's still running a bit rough. Also, now that I've hit that tree, this door is absolutely muffled and will not close, so I'm driving up this hill with this door flapping about all over the place. Got this bit of a sketchy uphill section to go. Let's see how we go, eh? Also, it's got no power steering. I'm on my way. Ah. Oh, closed it for me. Sweet as. That was exceedingly disappointing. Oh, who cares? So the new off-road vehicle crew is in a bit of a state of disarray. So Davo the mechanical wizard has managed to shear off practically every bolt holding his bull bar on except for one. So yeah, he done a good job there. Smashed his grill in a little bit, which a bit sad, but hey, the grill was stuffed anyway, so you Toyota fellas out there, don't cry too much. Now mine's in a bit of a bad state too. I reckon my master cylinders cooked it, and of course I rolled back, fully knocked down a dead tree and smashed in that door, and I mean I hit this hard and it really didn't do much damage, so I'm fairly happy with that.
So I ripped out my brake master cylinder and pulled it apart and found that it was practically stuffed. However, we decided to give the ball a bit of a hone with some Ajax and a rag and slapped it all back together. Now unfortunately it didn't last that long. We got halfway down the next track and my brakes failed again, so we practically aborted on Crumpy because it was a massive pile of trash and decided to see if we could get something cool done with Davo's Bandera.
I couldn't keep my eyes off it and I drifted away with the camera for a second.
I was scared he was gonna get flung towards me, so I'm hiding behind the tree.
You love touching your roofs.
Well, that pretty well concludes this episode of Fall Bore, and after a year and a half of working on Crumpy, getting it ready for the bush, we have found that it is in fact an utter failure. That said, it was a pretty fun failure, and really that's the whole point of working on cars and going out bush, is that the failures are almost just as fun as the successes. Anyway, Crumpy really only needs a kit put through the master cylinder and maybe a carb rebuild, and it should be good to go to hit some more tracks on a future episode of Full Bore.